Fiona is trying to adjust to her new life after everything that happened last season, but things won't be that easy. Meanwhile, back in the land of Oo, Finn has been poisoned, and the Huntress Wizard must uncover what really happened and find a way to save him. The episode opens with a narration. Prismo, the Master of Wishes, once made a very special one. He wished for a new version of Finn the human, and that's how Fiona was born, a brave and curious girl. But as time passed, she realized her world lacked magic. Everything started to feel routine, dull, and lifeless, missing that spark of adventure she longed for. Until one day, tired of the monotony, Fiona decided to change her fate. Through a portal, she leapt into the land of O. After traveling across countless worlds and alternate realities, Fiona finally made it back home, just in time to save it from being destroyed by the Scarab. With a touch of magic, she stopped being just a copy of Finn and became someone truly unique. Now, in the present day, we see Fiona waking up from a nap as her alarm goes off. Still half asleep, she turns on the TV looking for something to watch. She flips through channels until a fast-paced action show catches her attention, not knowing that later, that same show will appear in one of her dreams, maybe even as a warning of what's to come. A bit later, Fiona checks in with Cake, who lives next door. They've started leading more independent lives, but they're still inseparable. They eat breakfast together before going through their to-do lists for the day. That morning, Fiona helps an elderly woman carry some heavy boxes. The lady feels embarrassed, remembering she once fired Fiona from her job, but Fiona smiles kindly, holding no grudges. Later, she stops by the copy shop, where the clerk also recognizes her and, a bit guilty, thanks her for saving their world. He even offers her a 15% discount as a token of gratitude and an apology for firing her back then. As she leaves the store, a curious little girl spots Cake and asks her to turn into an elephant, then a horse, just for fun. A pretty random moment. On her way, Fiona runs into Queenie, a tour guide. With a sarcastic smile, Queenie reminds her Sip's the one who fired her before, mocking her bad luck and calling her a failure. Not satisfied, Queenie gets off the bus and confronts her directly, shouting "loser!" But before things get out of hand, Cake steps in and holds Fiona back. Eventually, the two friends arrive at the candy depot, where they're greeted by a clerk named M. Cron. As usual, Cake can't resist flirting a little, showing off with her wild shape-shifting skills, which makes for a funny scene. Meanwhile, Fiona focuses on the main mission, finding the special cocoa. After searching the entire store, she finally spots the last bag left. But just as she's about to grab it, a woman appears out of nowhere and snatches it from her hands. What follows is a chaotic candy store brawl, with sweets flying everywhere. Still, Fiona manages to come out victorious, proudly clutching her cocoa bag like a trophy. Outside, Cake scolds Fiona for all the chaos she caused, but she still finds a silver lining. On the receipt, she notices M. Cron's phone number. Just then, Simon calls Fiona. He's out on a walk, trying to clear his head, and decides to check in on her. During their chat, Cake tries to cheer Fiona up, steering the conversation away from her ex, Prince Flame. Simon asks how things are going with the Sweet Spot, Gary's new project. Fiona tells him everything's perfect. The grand opening is tomorrow and she has everything under control, or so she thinks. But her good mood fades fast when she finds out Cake has wasted all the promotional flyers. Instead of spreading them around the city, she stuck them all on one wall, right over her ex-boyfriend's poster. Meanwhile, Simon stops in front of the grave of his old friend Choose Goose. He leaves an orange as an offering, a small gesture, but one filled with warmth and memories. But suddenly, a wild lion appears and snatches the fruit away. What the beast doesn't know is that Huntress Wizard has been tracking it from the shadows. Following its trail, she ends up entering a dark cave. Inside, she finds Finn half-conscious, visibly weak. Despite his condition, he's somehow managed to train a few animals to feed and care for him. But his mind, clouded by poison, confuses them with countless versions of Huntress Wizard herself. When the real Huntress finally finds him, she assumes he's just resting. But as she gets closer, she notices a deep claw mark on his back, a wound left by a bear. It shouldn't be fatal, yet Finn hasn't healed, and something dark seems to be keeping his body from recovering. Back in Fiona's world, preparations for the grand opening of the Sweet Spot are in full swing. She's gathered every ingredient and decoration needed to make the big day perfect. When she arrives, Gary greets her with a bright smile, thrilled that Fiona brought everything he needs for his desserts. Ellis is already there, and Marshall, still half asleep, drags himself up to help out. Overwhelmed by gratitude, Gary gifts Fiona a bag of pastries as a thank you, but Fiona, being the loyal friend she is, refuses to take a single cent for what she brought. To her, helping her friends is priceless. She'd do it all and more without hesitation. A little later, Hunter shows up carrying a pot full of roses. He thought Fiona might like them, and he was right. As they talk, he notices a small splinter in her hand. Gently, he removes it and treats the wound, unintentionally creating a moment charged with romantic tension. Their eyes meet for a few lingering seconds that feel endless. Hunter can't stay long. He has other matters to handle, but Marshall wastes no time teasing Fiona, hinting that there's something more than friendship between her and Hunter. Once everything's ready, Gary raises a toast. With a smile full of emotion, he thanks everyone for their support, and especially his best friend Fiona for believing in him when no one else did. Meanwhile, in the land of O, Huntress Wizard continues her desperate search for a cure to save Finn, but all her efforts seem to fail. For a brief moment, Finn regains consciousness and manages to whisper a few words that it all happened during a fight with a bear, and he mentions Simon before passing out again. That small clue is enough for Huntress Wizard to begin tracking the true source of the poison. In Fiona's world, things take a strange turn. Fiona and Cake are atop a tall tower, fighting like warriors against enemies clad in heavy armor. But what's truly disturbing is what happens when they defeat them. Inside the armor, they find their own friends, even Choose Goose is there. Everything becomes a blur of confusion until Fiona suddenly jolts awake. It was just a dream. And right in front of her stands Queenie, ready to ruin her day. But Queenie isn't there just to mock her. She's come to demand that everyone leave the place immediately. As it turns out, the property belongs to Queenie Enterprises, meaning she's the rightful owner. Without wasting a second, she throws everyone out, leaving Fiona and her friends with absolutely nothing. Back in OO, Simon is giving a lecture on the history of magical artifacts. One of those lessons that seems purely academic, but always ends up being far more important than anyone expects. That's when Huntress Wizard arrives, bringing Finn with her so Simon can explain what happened. Simon tells her they were attacked by a green bear. Finn tried to save him but was violently thrown into a strange thorny bush. It all took place in an area Simon calls the heart of the forest. The wizard asks Simon to keep Finn alive while she investigates how to save him. Meanwhile, in Fiona's world, everything Gary worked for, even Marshall's house, is gone. Queenie makes it clear that it all now belongs to her, simply because it sits on her property. Despite feeling defeated, Fiona vows to get everything back. She doesn't know how yet, but she's determined to make it happen. Back in O, Huntress Wizard transforms into a giant eagle and flies toward the heart of the forest, a mysterious place covered in dense, glowing vegetation pulsing with magical energy. There, she finally finds the bush where Finn fell. She quickly takes a sample of the thorns to study the poison, but things don't go as planned. From the shadows, the massive green bear emerges and attacks her from behind, or at least that's what it seems like. And with that, the episode comes to an end.